Welcome to the Plant Trainers Podcast, where we're helping people improve their quality of life through nutrition and fitness. And now, your hosts, nutrition and wellness coaches, international speakers, Adam and Shoshana Chaim.
Hey, I'm Adam Chaim.
And I'm Shoshana Chaim, and we are
Propelled by Plants. Today we bring to you episode 408, Regenerative Medicine with Dr. Maria-Ines.
In this episode of the Plant Trainers Podcast, we talked to Dr. Maria-Ines about regenerative medicine, her plant-based journey, and her upbringing in lifestyle medicine. Dr. Mari shares with us the key concepts that made her different from all of her friends growing up and that brought her to be the picture of health that she is now in her 40s. You're going to be amazed about what she has to say about drinking water and where you should start today. So get ready for lots of great action steps.
Dr. Mari is a physician scientist and entrepreneur. She's been Chief Science Officer and co-founder of Organicell Regenerative Medicine, Inc., and is on the forefront of regenerative medicine and passionate about preventative medicine as well. Dr. Mari has been featured on the Wall Street Journal, Forbes, Fox News, and so many other amazing media outlets. She graduated as a medical doctor, received her Ph.D. in neural therapy from S.O.M.A, and her plant-based nutrition certification from eCornell. Such a great episode. We love talking to Dr. Mari, and I'm sure you're going to love her too. So listen in and share it out.
And try saying regenerative 3 times fast or 1 time slow.
If you want a healthy, natural way to fuel your workouts or fire up your brain, Energy Bits are for you. Energy Bits are tiny spirulina algae tabs that are nutritionally dense, a source of mental and physical energy that is all natural and causes no stomach distress. They eliminate fatigue and hunger instantly with no caffeine, sugar, chemicals, gluten, or soy, just pure plant-based nutrition. 1 ingredient, 1 calorie, and 0 net carbs. I use them before workouts or sometimes just as a snack. They make me feel great and give me that extra energy boost I'm sometimes looking for. I also use Recovery Bits, which are tiny chlorella tabs. I use them after workouts or when I'm feeling hungry late at night. Visit energybits.com and order Energy Bits, Recovery Bits, Vitality Bits, or Skinny Bits, and use the promo code PLANTTRAINERS to get 20% off your order at checkout. The link will also be in the show notes just in case you didn't get that all down. Improve your energy, wellness, and waistline all at the same time with Energy Bits. Check out Energy Bits today and feel the difference. Your brain and body will say thank you. And now for a moment of gratitude.
I'm grateful because I have been chosen to lead a networking group in Eastern Canada that's going to be virtual. I'm super excited for it. And if you want to know a little bit more, then hit us up and I'd love to tell you more about it if you are a woman networking in Canada.
I'm grateful for a new batch of students that I'm working with right now. They are very engaged and we seem to be connecting really well and looking forward to the next few months with them.
Maria-Ines, thank you so much for joining us on the Plant Trainers Podcast today.
Thank you so much for having me, guys. I am so excited for today.
We're excited too, and we wanted to know what your moment of gratitude is to share with us and the listeners.
Well, today it is the fact that hard work pays off and working every day. I always had this motto of I'm living every day as if it's my first and last day. And I've had this motto for like almost all my life, right? Working hard every single day also is very important. And today we are collecting those fruits from our hard work. So we've been published and me being the first author, it's very, very big. And I don't take that for granted. I am in full gratitude for all of the work that my team and I have put in.
That's amazing. Congratulations to you and your team. And a beautiful woman, doctor, as the lead is even better. So congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
So we were chatting back and forth before we had this podcast going, and you've actually been vegan for over 30 years, right? That's hard to believe. Can you tell us a little bit more? Like, when did you, how were you 5 years old? Like, tell us the story behind that.
Well, thank you for that. That just shows that I look that age. I'm about to be 41. So if I was raised, I'm one of those fortunate kids that was born and raised in a house where my dad is a physician, very focused in natural medicine. And when they decided to raise their family, and he went through medical school, and he realized that there's another side to medicine that he was not presented in university, he started exploring that. And nutrition was one of the biggest things that he found early on his med school years that will impact not only the patient's life, but his life and his family's life. So I was born and raised by this fantastic doctors practicing natural medicine and being nutrition at the forefront of all the changes that they made on all the patients. So back then, 40 years ago, it was more like a vegetarian term. We were green before green even existed. Our toothpaste never had fluoride and things like that they went all the way to explore how to nourish their family and how to raise their kids in a more healthy and not toxical way, right? So we did eat, back then it was like the white meats, believed to be the healthiest, right? But we always had an 80 to 90% plant-based diversity. I'm from Ecuador, South America. So we have a plant-diverse diet regardless, the whole community, because there's so many fruits, vegetables, roots. We are so biodiverse from many climates that we always have that really accessible. So our whole community eats very plant-based or diverse, right? So when I was 13, and when you're going through those years that you're trying to understand who you are and learning about yourself, I was very into recycling, and I promoted a lot of recycling things in that early age. And then I read an article about animal agriculture and its impact on all of the gases, the gas emission. So I was so touched by that article that day I said, I am done. I'm not contributing, even though we never ate beef. And that was definitely, and it still is, the biggest cause. But they did list chicken, animal agriculture with chicken and the animals that I was consuming as part of the gas emissions. And that was enough for me. And I said, you know what? I'm going to just try it for a day and see how it goes. And that one day turned into a week, into a month, into a year, 2 years. And then I went to med school being vegan, right? Vegan term comes later on when the animal cruelty gets involved as well. I didn't know that part. I always did it through the health side because that's what I was raised on, right? You can really impact the patient's quality of life, and they can really change their clinical outcome just by changing nutrition. So for me, I went vegan when I was 13. So that's my story. I know that not too many people have that opportunity of being raised like that, right? Because every time there was a meal, there was always 20 options besides the meat. So for me, it was really easy to just eat everything else, but that either chicken or fish that they were having that day, right? And then it became more and more easier for them to just adapt whatever they did to the chicken or the fish into, back then we called it gluten, which is today seitan, and those faux meats or just quinoa patties and things like that they would do for me.
As a teenager growing up and moving into a vegan lifestyle, did you have any social challenges with your friends or the people around you that weren't necessarily eating the same way?
Yeah, I always say since we were little, every time we had a play date, my mom had to call their parents just to let them know that we don't eat this, that. And when I arrive, every single lunch or every time I sit down to eat, until today, people go, oh, wow, how difficult is this? And I'm like, oh, here I go. But it's been since I'm little that I had to explain that. And I'm so grateful that my parents instilled the knowledge in me for me to be able to say, you know what, this is my decision and this is why we're not doing it. And that's it. I mean, it's not too complicated. I am here. I'm healthy. I'm vibing. So let's move on. Let's eat.
Exactly. So having said that, did your parents worry when you stopped eating the fish or the chicken at the beginning, whether you were going to get all the nutrients that you needed, or did your dad already research that and know that was okay?
Yeah, no, he knew, and he still knows all the way, even though he still eats white meats, that this is the most sustainable way to be healthy, right? So I did not get that. And I'm fortunate because there has to be a lot of parents that go berserk when their kids say, I'm going vegan or I'm going vegetarian. Like, why? Thank God they did have all the knowledge. So obviously they support me full way.
That's great. So did you ever stray from that diet? Like, did you get into university and say, oh, life's too hard, or lose your way at all?
No, not at all. Through med school, I went I kept going. I would say I did have a little patch there after I met my husband, and we used to do a lot of anti-aging shows throughout the US. So we would live in a suitcase. So I reintroduced fish then. But it did not last too long. I was like, one day I woke up and I was like, what am I doing? This is like not going as I always wanted it to go. But it was funny, through med school, there's a lot of physicians that, as you know, they don't teach us nutrition, right? And I'm talking about, I went to school in Ecuador, but med school is pretty much the same all over the world, right? They don't teach nutrition, but they do teach about the nutrition deficits from vegetarians and vegans to be careful with this and that. So I was the one questioning those doctors, and always will volunteer myself to do a blood test so they can check and see that I am not deficient in absolutely anything. And that probably all my blood tests were better than my classmates. So I've always been really vocal about how healthy it could be if you're doing it right.
I think that's super interesting because they're not teaching what you should do, but they're teaching the dangers of what might happen, and they've never even learned about the proper nutrition in the first place. So it's a little bit backwards, and we do know that it's getting better, and lots of amazing plant-based doctors and organizations working with universities now so that med students can actually learn about plant-based nutrition properly.
Yes, I mean, it's so needed. Like proper nutrition. And again, if it's not 100 plant-based, but if we get that 80 to 90% of plant diverse in every single meal, we would not be experiencing what we're experiencing right now. Our biggest killers are nutrition dependent 100%. So it's like, what are we doing? Our healthcare system is there's so many things that need to be fixed.
We're making progress. We're making progress, and we'll keep it at that. So when you were so young, at 13 years old, did you notice any changes in your health, in acne, in maybe menstrual cycles compared to your friends, and aches and pains, anything like that?
I think it was not physical. It was definitely more, I made peace with myself emotionally. But I was I had at 13, 14, I was reading books that were like a 25, 30, 40-year-old person would be reading. I went through my discovery of myself very, very early, and I would eat those books like it was nothing. My dad was like, oh my God, okay, I think you're ready for this now. Okay, I think you're ready for that. How about if you try this? And I would eat those books like overnight. I was like, this is amazing. Like getting to learn who I am and what I am. But my parents instilled on us a lot of different things that my other friends would not see. We were meditating when we were 5-year-old. So we've done a lot of things that most kids didn't do. So I don't know. I didn't, more than me knowing that was my true north and I was following that north. I've been very healthy all of my life. So never extremely had pimples or things like that, because we're not eating dairy, never, unless it was a cheese pizza here and there. But, not too much.
And I also think, like, living in Ecuador and growing up in Ecuador, and you did have, 18 dishes on the table that were vegetables, and those vegetables were picked a lot sooner than they were up here in Toronto and from when we get them. So just the quality of food was probably a lot different, and you were quite plant heavy before as well. So that makes a difference there, and you were young.
Yeah, no, I am very, very grateful. And you know what? It's so funny because when we see the blue zones and we see those specific areas that were picked for that study, I know so many communities in Ecuador that actually have that plant predominant nutrition, and their way of exercise and everything follows those blue zones parameters, right? And you can see those communities are thriving, are healthy. And the more Western food is introduced, the more we start seeing those trends.
For sure. So you mentioned exercise, and I wanted to touch base on exercise with you. I know that you've had some exciting training going on over the last 10 years or so. Tell us about how you're able to balance your exercise with being this amazing scientist doctor who just got published, and tell us about your training.
There's so much more great information coming your way, but before we get to that, we wanted to share with you and let you know that if you want a healthy, natural way to fuel your workouts or fire up your brain, Energy Bits are for you. Energy Bits are tiny spirulina algae tabs that are nutritionally dense, a source of mental and physical energy that is all natural and causes no stomach distress. They eliminate fatigue and hunger instantly with no caffeine, sugar, chemicals, gluten, or soy, just pure plant-based nutrition. One ingredient, 1 calorie, and 0 net carbs. I use them before workouts or sometimes just as a snack. They make me feel great and give me that extra energy boost I'm sometimes looking for. I also use Recovery Bits, which are tiny chlorella tabs. I use them after workouts or when I'm feeling hungry late at night. Visit energybits.com and order Energy Bits, Recovery Bits, Vitality Bits, or Skinny Bits, and use the promo code PLANTTRAINERS to get 20% off your order at checkout. The link will also be in the show notes just in case you didn't get that all down. Improve your energy, wellness, and waistline all at the same time with Energy Bits. Check out Energy Bits today and feel the difference. Your brain and body will say thank you. And now back to the show.
Yeah, so I went through life doing only cardio. I never ever wanted to hit the weights because that misconception of you're going to be bulky. And 10 years ago, after I moved to Miami, every Sunday we would bring our little kids to the beach, and there were all of these moms with little kids, and the moms looked like, oh my God, like models from a magazine. And I was like, I always had my excuse, I just had a baby. So they just had a baby and they did not look like this. So obviously my belly was a little flabby and whatever, because I stopped doing my regular cardio. And then it was like a challenge between us, and that I said, okay, I want to see what you girls are doing, because you're definitely doing whatever it is correctly. So they are the ones that took me to the gym, and we would have 2 or 3 days that we would all go together. And for the first time went from the cardio machines to actually the weights, and they were teaching me what to do. And one of them said, I have a pass one day in this place that is not a CrossFit. It's not a boot camp. They train athletes to become better athletes. So all of the big athletes go to this place. Do you want to go with me? I was like, okay, I know nothing, but yes, let's go. I was addicted from the first day. This was like everything that I needed in my life. It was a 1 hour, like a HIIT, it's performance training, right? So they train you in stability, strength, speed, and those are kids graduated in university for training. And they're actually, you could see NBA players, NFL players, NHL players that are just focusing to become better on their sport. And here I am, like just going and learning how to start lifting and how to do like transitions from speed and things like that. And it became, for me, it is like my temple, my religion, my time to give my mental health some space, because you get to compete with yourself, right? And learning how much you can push your body into a place of, I never knew I could be this strong. I mean, I'm lifting 230 pounds on a hip thrust that never did I know. Like if you picture, maybe my husband is close to 200 pounds. If I put him on my hips and try to hip thrust, I never would have thought that I could do that, right? Or squatting him, right? So it is an amazing side. It's dear to my heart and to my mental health that this year that we've all passed through this, I mean, I get to know and value this even more, because not being able to go to gyms and not being able to have the routine that I have formed for myself really paid a toll on my mental health. So that's why I use this. It's my balance. It's my avenue that I've found.
And I think it's super important for everybody to find an activity that they enjoy doing and help develop their fitness through that activity, because it certainly makes a difference, not only in the physical, but like you're saying, on the mental and emotional states of mind. And it's super important to understand that what we might think we aren't able to do is something that we will be able to do at some point. And everybody starts somewhere, and we all have the ability to get to wherever we want to go. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and consistency. I mean, that is something that it taught me that, I could move from a 10 pound to a 30 pound to a 50 pound to a 70 pound, but only for showing up every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at that same time. I've been religious and it's actually going to be my 9th year coming up in May that I've been showing up to that gym so consistent. And then outside of the gym, I do my own yoga activities and other things, but it's that I owe it to myself, to know that I keep pushing and growing, because sometimes we forget as adults, we forget that we have that ability of keep building and cultivating and learning things from our body. We thought that, we're old, that's it. We're stuck to that.
Yeah, we get a lot of people who message us in saying, I'm having inflammation in my knees, or I can't move my hands, or I just feel tired all the time. But it's because I'm 50 or it's because I'm 60. These are just the things that happen. And it's not that these are the things that happen. It's the things that happen when we're not or haven't learned how to take proper care of ourselves, and we're not consistent with the nutrition or the exercise or the meditation and some of the other good things that we talked about today. We see the body breaking down.
And to know also that the body is so amazing and perfect that if you start making moves and you're shifting into the right exercise, you will go back and accomplish those things that you thought you would never, right? And you've seen bodybuilders that started at 60 years old, and when you see them at 80 years old, their bodies are like incredible. So know that you're never late for anything, not only for your goals in your physical body or knowing how strong you can get, but from your mental side also. I use this example from my grandpa. He was close to 70 years old when I was going through high school, and he always was an economist and always dreamed to be a lawyer. And universities became digital universities when I was going through high school, and he decided to go to university to become a lawyer. And he did it. Not only he became a lawyer, but he had 2 master's degrees after. So on Sundays, we would all sit down and do homework together with my grandpa. So, know that it's never too late to accomplish anything that you want in life.
Yeah, love that.
That's super awesome, being able to study with your grandparents. Very, very generational. And I think that's really good for mental health as well. And when our mental health is in check, then, our physical health can be that much better. Can you talk to us a little bit, as a regenerative medicine doctor, what's happening in our body, on how healthy our cells are staying when we exercise?
Oh yeah, when we exercise and we eat healthy. That is my specialty, regenerative medicine. So regenerative medicine is the branch of medicine that studies the repair and regeneration of cells, tissues, organs after they have aged, or they have had a problem, or that they're just not functioning correctly, right? So this branch of medicine studies what to implement or what to do in order to regenerate or rebuild those cells that are not acting correctly. So as I was mentioning before, from smaller things that you can do, you can actually give your body correct information for your body to reboot that system that was not working. Up to a point. Our bodies have a biological clock that the body will age regardless, even though we have all of the abilities internally for that not to happen and for us to live forever, right? But the biological clock will always keep moving. So by eating more plants, more diverse, eating the rainbow every day, trying to hit that 80 to 90% of foods that are plant-based, from exercising, from having a social network that is healthy, from sleeping for 7 to 8 hours if you're an adult, 9 to 10 if you're a kid, right? Hydrating. If we do these small little things that cost nothing to change, we can input a message into our cells for those cells to regenerate. It's proven, and now that we have so many more studies coming along, it's not just one or two doctors telling you. It's heavy research that's telling you that we can impact our life and the way that our body reacts to this kind of information, right? And it goes a little deeper and stronger and harder into what we are doing in my field, whereas we are working with specific stem cells that are extremely regenerative because they come from perinatal tissue, that tissue that it's between the mom and the baby, and that is only taken from planned C-sections where the mothers are consented, where they are done as perfect donors to be able to cultivate those cells or the tissue around that, to be able to translate that small message into patients that have pain. Right now, we're working with COPD and we're working with COVID patients, and not only the active COVID patients, but also soon we started the long haulers as well. So, regenerative medicine can be something simple, but it ends up being as complicated as what we are doing as well. But nevertheless, things that we keep repeating, and I know that you guys have said it, and with all of your amazing panelists that you always have in your show, it's about making these smaller changes that can really impact your life.
Is there a small change that our listeners can put in and implement today that you would suggest as being the best small step to take first?
Deciding to make a change would be the best decision. Because if you only decide today to switch whatever it is that you're drinking to drink water, just simple H2O, right? And me personally, every time I drink water, I always put an intention of love and health while I'm drinking water, because we have so much power of intention that can be transitioned to water. And this can be an episode by itself, right? But water does take the vibration of anything that you give it to it. So it doesn't matter, you don't have to go for the crazy pH or the expensive filtration system. Yes, they're important. But if one thing you're going to do today is just drink more water, then that will make a big impact in your life, right? And I can also say, just start eating more fruits and vegetables today. Add some nuts, right? Eat those root vegetables that you never thought that you would buy it in the supermarket. Throw them in a smoothie, right? Even though they're simple, they will make a big impact on yourself. But also, mental health has become a very important thing, especially after this year. I mean, we've all gone through so many crazy scenarios that it's insane, that sometimes we feel it's only us going through it, but know that it's the entire planet going through it, right? It's been a very, very challenging mental health year. So know that if you can build your social network where you have those people that you can reach out, it's very important. I've learned it from my daughter. She's 10-year-old, and through this age that they are exploring, experimenting, and learning, they need this social interaction so much. I didn't know how much she needed it until this year. And she's a single kid. So, it's been very, very rough for her. So there's so many small things that we can do to impact the change.
I love that answer, is just decide to make the change. And normally when we ask people that kind of question, they go right to the nutrition or the exercise or the sleep or the water. There's so many things that you could choose, but I love the answer of decide to make the change, make that choice. That's a great one.
And we've talked about the vibration of what we're putting into our food before, and we've talked about actually the vibration of the clothing that we wear, but we've never talked about the vibration in the water. I'm almost thinking like, say a prayer over your water before you drink it. Or we have a filtration system where I have to sit there for 5 minutes pouring it all in the top every day. But now I know, like, maybe I need to be thinking happy, positive thoughts as I do that, so that can go into the drinkers, the children and Adam and all of that. So thank you. That's something that is going to change my life as of today.
And you know what I've learned also, if you're already doing that, put in a little note, just write love, the word love, and stick it into the container. That word, that vibration of that word will stick into the whole container. So there's so many tricks that you can do. But if you don't have the time and you were just poured water from anywhere, as you drink, you put that intention and that vibration, you will change. And we are changing the curse of our discussion right now. But it is, I remember early on me doing this discovery of who I am and what I want to become. This water analogy, not analogy, but there's been a study and testing of how a vibration can change the water quality. And I was so blown away, because you can actually see molecularly how the water changes when you put a different word into it. So imagine if we are made out of 70% of water. If every day, as you opened this podcast and as for the gratitude, if every day we can focus on a gratitude for ourselves, we are the most important thing. And if we are made out of water, only our vibration and our intention can actually change our whole system. Like, all of our cells are sitting through water, so we can really impact it.
That's so good. And I want everybody to rewind and definitely listen to that again. Thank you so much for those kind and loving words that everybody can go and take with them, and for all of your expertise and sharing your story with us today. We're so grateful for the time that you've spent with us. If other people would like to learn a little bit more about the work that you do or follow you on Instagram for these amazing kind of tips, where would you like them to go?
So I am very active on Instagram. It's my name, Mitrani. To learn more about what the company is doing, we're a public company, biopharmaceutical, developing these drugs. We are at Organicell.com, and that's organic, ELL, like Organicell.com. So that's where we're at.
Dr. Mari, thank you so much for being with us. We really appreciate everything you're doing, and we want to stay connected with you. So thanks for being on the Plant Trainers podcast.
Thank you. Thank you, Bob.
Thank you all so much for listening to this edition of the Plant Trainers podcast. We want to make sure that you subscribe on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, or any other podcasting platform.
We really appreciate the feedback we receive from you. Every time we get a 5-star rating or review on iTunes from one of our fans, it really helps other people find us, just like you did.
Thanks so much to our patrons. To become a patron, visit us at patreon.com/planttrainers. Even supporting us with $1 really makes a difference in the quality of the show.
And don't forget to connect with us on Instagram and Twitter. Our handle is @PlantTrainers. Like Plant Trainers on Facebook, join our newsletter, and check out our website at planttrainers.com for awesome recipes, a list of our services, and of course, our latest podcast.
We encourage you to email your questions to info@planttrainers.com so that we can help you improve your quality of life through nutrition and fitness.
So we hope we've inspired you today. Join us again next time. And have a healthy day. Or is that too corny?
It's a little cheesy.